So good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here today, for joining me here today, because we're about to have this, let us say, cozy small party that we're going to have today that is going to be dedicated to a very fashionable topic, currently the blockchain. But unlike the specialized and professional conferences of blockchain, we're not going to build any really blockchains. We're not going to discuss the formulas. We're not going to discuss the very specific language of the programming languages. What we will try to do is that we will try to imagine and we will try to think about the using of the blockchain technology in the art market. So everything that concerns arts, because we have these practices in a couple of recent years, and I do believe that for the couple of recent years I've been working in this sphere, mostly working in the United States, because we have already launched our startup that is titled the Ethereum, and we're not going to discuss it today, but then again it's a marketplace for the art pieces in the primary markets. Before that, before me, we've had another presentation recently. We've had one of the presentations of the event that is titled the Blockchain Art Hackathon. This is the event that has been taking place for the second year currently, and I would like to support the guys from my side. I would like to say that tomorrow we're going to have the presentation of the videos that the 30 artists from the 12 countries from the world have been creating through the VR technologies in the recent week. But turning from the artist to me, my name is Belkevych and I'm the art financer. But still, before we turn to the understanding how the blockchain technologies is now being used and might be used in future for the art world, I would like to start with a little small financial definition or share of my thoughts about how blockchain works on the side of the financial business. Let us turn to the ancient world, where we've had two types of people existing: the person who were gathering the apples and the one who killed the mammoth. And when the two types of processes took place, we've had the good, and the one who had produced the apples, the one who gathered the apples, they've tried to exchange the apples for the meats with the ones who killed the mammoth. It was important to say that this exchange was simultaneous and with the actual direct participation of the parties. So the two parties have seen each other directly in the moments when the deal was conducted and the good was passed from one hand to another simultaneously. That is important. Thus, the trust and confidence to the good was based on knowledge, on the palpability. So, you could smell the meat and take a look at the apples, but then again, your trust and confidence was built on knowledge. And then the meat got rotten, the apples got rotten, they were gathered in big scale. That what we've had is called the crisis of the overproduction, as it can be called by the economists. So what do we have? And if someone has had some kind of the like if we had any jewels, if we had any hard assets, they would be in a better position, because you could exchange meat when they come. And later on, all of the jewels they have been exchanged by the money, and the fiat understanding of the money is now being used for the banking systems and the transferring systems. But basically this system has built up a regulator, someone who regulates the process of exchange. Thus, the financial system currently has turned to this stage, so the trust is being based not on knowledge, but the trust is built on trust. Well, just take a look at it. When you go to the shop, you want to buy something, like you want to buy, what do you want to buy? Yeah, I don't know, like a product of the first need, I don't know, like milk. And they tell us that, okay, here you go, the milk, you give the money goes to the cashier's office, and the next day, the incassators, they take it to the banking are given, whether your company is legal, then they put it into your account. Then later on, the accountant is going to receive the money in the next. So actually coming to the shop and giving you the money for an exchange of the real good, if our exchanging operation weren't based on trust, but were based on the knowledge, we would receive the answer from our seller, like, okay, get back in a month when we are going to have the payment for your milk in our account. Of course, we was not doing it like this. So that's, we have the regulator in place. First of all, that was the regulator, the one who has the jewel, then we had as a state, then we have as a bank. In this case, the idea of blockchain is it follows that all of the operations are going to be had between the two sides that see each other through the KIEF procedure and who see each other through the smart contracts. If you're interested in that, then you can read further on this topic and you can search further on this topic. So this is my small theory that I have, the theory in place. So it's always important to have a small joke. That is why we've offered, the artists have given us the idea with the theory of blockchain and the general understanding of the blockchain to visualize it. You know the film, The Name of the Rose, and you know that in the ancient times there were four main religious orders. They had a lot of monasteries and they were all rich because the church had given them the money, and it still gives them the money, I believe. So those monasteries, they borrowed the money with one another. So they've had the credit operations in between of them. So, for example, one monastery has borrowed the others, and there's a lot of monasteries in place, and they borrow the money to each other. And then we have the situation in place when we have a lot of monasteries, and to understand who owes whom is impossible. So what was sought? What was the good idea of the good monks? They have come up with an idea to create the books, the accountant books in each of the monasteries. So to get the information of what are the debts for the monastery. Like, for example, one monastery had borrowed something to another, and all of the monks went to the other monastery, so they sent the letters and signed the information in. Why? In case the debtor will not be good and confident and they would like to tear this page off, if it was only in one monastery, then you wouldn't have the debt in place. The debt would have been forgotten. But the monks were really smart people, so they would spread it throughout all of the monasteries, so you definitely should have paid it up, so you can check it out. That created difficulties. Difficulties of what kind? First of all, you have to disperse the information among all of the monasteries, then you have to check the information, and hoping that you might do it quicker at some point of time. Now we have the blockchain technology that helps us, and these technologies are many times connected to the cryptocurrencies. But I would say this is a brother and sister. I can even a better definitions for them, but I will ask you one question a little bit later on. But the monasteries, the first thing about the blockchain was created in the monasteries in the Middle Ages. They didn't have the internet back then, they didn't have the cryptocurrencies in place, they didn't have the diversified system in place by that times. What we understand now, that what blockchain offers us is a trust based on knowledge. So what, in some point, we're turning to these primal times, but then everything in our life is based in cycle, but our ancestors, they did understand how to do that easier. So the blockchain is not evolution, is basically it's just the evolution of the fixating system, the system of the fixation of information. But getting back to the arts, in 2016, when not a lot of people have heard about the blockchain, even though the blockchain has started to be developed throughout 2008, the there was a book that was called Just Rethinking the Blockchain, and I thought it was really interesting for me because I haven't heard about the blockchain by that time, but it seemed that the artists, because I was working with the artists and I was managing the private collections and helping people to sell the art, that the artists have already resought the blockchain because, like, they had the primary position on this and then they will resync in the process. Thus, the work that's was considered to be an academic title, it was in place. And the very first article that appeared in the art newspaper, one of the most influential art magazine, you see that the 31st of August 2016. And it actually spoke about how blockchain can change the world of art. Why it is important? Why this date is important? Because based on August 2016, the capitalization, monetization of all of the cryptocurrencies in all of the people was just $11 billion. And that time there was 5 blockchain art startups. June 2017, just a year, even less than a year, just 10 months away, the monetization of all of the cryptocurrencies in the hands of our population was 10 times bigger. And take a look at this, the art startups grew twice. Okay, grew 5 times. Why did it happen like this? Because we had the new class of investors in place, the so-called the young money for the people who were buying the cryptocurrencies starting from 2008, and in 2017 they have their own capitalization hugely grown. Thus, they wanted to invest this money and they wanted to take the money away from them. But in what way? The main portfolio of those young capitalists was around like 35 years old. They all were they were really about like betting or playing with the currency. They know what Forex is, and they're following all of the things that are going on around them, and around them there was the art interest was booming. So these two spheres, they got together, the investment and arts, they got together in the main desire of having this $111 billion. So around like 95% out of these 26 art startups that has been launched 2 years ago, they had their aim as to turn to the ICO, to maybe, I don't know, get this fundraising, the collective fundraising out of these cryptocurrencies. Personally, for me, I do define, well, in generally, if you're interested in arts and you're going to listen to you will hear about the blockchain startups in arts, you will see some kind of the topology. And for me, I do define 4 types of the art blockchain startups. The first one, the so-called Greenpeace of art. So the art Greenpeace are the companies who say that they create products on blockchain in order to reach the general decentralization, the real legislative documents, all of the norm, the decentralization of everything, because there are some documents is called the provenance, so the passport of the art piece, the story of creation, the story of the change of the owner, as well as the tuning your car makes your car more expensive. The same, the passport does, the history does the painting more expensive. The same the Greenpeace companies do. You give us the provenance, we will take it to the blockchain, no one will delete it in the blockchain, and we will have the common happiness in that. The same thing they still believe, they do sincerely believe that the spreading of the royalty, the payment of the royalty for the artist with the further sales can also be done through the blockchain. Of course, we can do it through blockchain, but there are some doubts in it. There are some doubts in it, especially to these groups of companies, that, well, at the art markets, the ones that are the most gripping, the ones that are more gripping were always the producers of the fakes. So if we'll have the startups and if we have the company that will offer you to put your information on your provenance in blockchain, the first companies that will appear will be the fakers. The fake makers will be the most active. and thus we can understand you will not be able to delete it, and one part will claim, the other will claim back, and there's going to be additional long of claims as we used to have a lot of like forums and chat rooms with a lot of the swearing. There are even some people who are still in the live journal, they can still see that and experience it. We're going to have the same conversations like this. The second type of the IoT startups dealing with arts, well, it's getting a bit hot here, and the so-called crypto sharks. What do the crypto sharks tell us? The main idea for them is the share owning. They want to turn the art market to some kind of a forex. So what they like, for example, you can own half of the party, half of the painting, then you get it tokenized. Then, like, for example, if you don't know how the painting is going to be tokenized. So, token is the analog of an asset, like for example is the IPO for the pictures, for the paintings, then the tokenization is the IPO in the crypto world. So basically people, they cannot allow sometimes to buy the whole Picasso, but they would like to participate in the share owning of the Picasso. The more this enthusiast we have from the side of the collector who will provide their pictures for this kind of auctions, and from the side of the players who will really like to agree to buy the shares in the picture. The bigger pool of the work will be there. The faster we will create this art forex, when we will have the Basquiat there, the Bruegel, Manet and Picasso, and they're going to be sold as the assets and the markets. And they're a company that do believe in that really, really sincerely. This is something for me and something not for me. The third thing, what can also be said, what are the objection against the companies number 2? First of all, the market isn't ready for the share owning, and we have also had the specific research, and we have asked the young class of buyers and young class of the investors into crypto active. The collectioners say that they're not really interested in the shared owner, because for them the most important thing is the passion investment, actually the owning the physical work, the physical painting. The holders of the cryptocurrencies with investment aim, they say that yeah, we would like to play in that, but only when those tokens are going to be the secured. So basically when they're going to turn to the securities and assets, because starting from the 26th of July 2016, the Commission on National Securities of the US, well, the main regulational body, has got one of the founders, or one of the, I will not say which of the crypto companies after ICO, so they've got it. So they have seen that all of the securities have been vetoed. And we want to the SEC. We want to go through the IPO procedure, but they told that they don't know yet. So it's then again, it's still been a bit of a slowdown, but Forex with the artistic pieces, it's still going to appear soon. The most important thing is to have the agreement in place for the 3 main markets of the world to legally acknowledge the cryptocurrencies: US, Russia and China. Another variant of this company is something called the screwdrivers. The screwdrivers, they're trying to get everything connected to the blockchain. They do not feel the demand of the market. So every startup has to be developed at least according to the 2 principles. First of all, the common engine, the common vector of development. Let it be the skateboard, and it will ride, but it's not going to be just a wheel from a very sophisticated car that is going to be just going with no direction. The same thing here, one engine, one direction of the movement of the startup at the very beginning of it. And another point is I can't even remember what I've meant to the second thing. Yeah, I will recall it and I will tell you. Yes, the second thing is about them is the so-called the understanding of the pain of the market, the need of the market. So one of the, let us say, cancers for all of the startup and companies, not only in the artistic sphere, But in the IT companies, because I have seen a lot in the 2 recent years, with this, that they offer you the ready-made solutions oriented not only oriented on the market. They do not ask the markets what kind of problems can blockchain resolve. We have the blockchain platform, they say, that allow you to do this, this, and that. So you can invest the money and be happy. So they are trying to connect absolutely everything to blockchain. Like, for example, blockchain enter to the museum while museum is not yet ready. So they are moving slowly here, and their paintings are actually slowly here. But there are a lot of other things. Not only the new. You can find in every category. You can find everything what you want plus blockchain. The fourth group of the companies, the so-called the flag carriers. The flag carriers are the companies who are using the art as their main flagship. They do have the ICO. They do have the any of the additional gathering of the cryptocurrencies when they keep on working with the ranking system. They all say that we will continue doing art, we will continue doing this, and that, and art, but it happens so that at their banners, at their position, there's always some kind of the really attractive art placed. When we first receive the smart money, this banner disappears, and it happens that they are only the crypto exchange rates. So they are the most useful, the useless, and the most miserable of all. So this is the general table, and we can analyze everything that blockchain can give to the world of art. But actually, basically, they have the four main directions in the blockchain. So the four main pros, the four main changes in the service provision. The first thing, it can work as a database. It can work as a decentralized storage. It can work the decentralized storages through the exchange of cryptocurrencies, and it can take down the existence of the competitors. Because if we have spoken of our preceders, then we can see that it's peer-to-peer trust. They see each other, and they know what they're buying, and they know that there is an e-contract in place. And I do believe that the lawyers may not be really happy about it, but when the parties are going to receive the help of the societies, because the smart contracts is the algorithm that has been outlined previously, has been then again complied with the legal departments, and then all of the conditions are being taken down, but independently of the will of the strengths of the parties. This is why we need lawyers while we're making this smart contract. Like, for example, or the galleries are going to pay the painters, or the painting cannot leave the country earlier than some of the rent will pass out. But yeah, you can come here. It's going to be very cool if you'll just come to us. Just write to us here. But then again, if everyone can see, so the database, what can blockchain provide to art? First of all, the registration of the provenance, so the change of the owner, registration of the price, registration of the information on being bought and sold, registration of the similar sales. But at this point, like for example, the similar sales at this very moment, they are, and the general understanding of the auctioning sales, if we speak about the public auctioning markets, then starting from 80s it's been calculated. So all of this information is being saved and stored in one specific sources, and there is small doubt whether this information is truthful, especially when there is the idea that you have to introduce the artist to the market, because if it's possible for us to get the more trust to the market, because the volatility and the average norm of the impact, there are some mechanisms that can calculate it, but we don't have the trust. So the registration of the change of the prices index, the arc of the management team, because during the art of the management, when we are promoting the arts moment, then some of the moments will get you a lower price, and that can be only understood in 3 years around or whatsoever. then we can rewind and take a look at which stage, which manager have performed this bad decision, what was the effect of it. But then again, it will be the visualizing the effectiveness of the investment. This is just the database. Then again, there is the possibility of the storage. The storage that has been located elsewhere can be easily restored. So the availability of the information that you share, and this is something that has been told by the collection for me, like whether the blockchain regulates the information that can be accessed by the student, but by the owner itself. Yes, the evangelists of the blockchain sphere, they will disagree with me, but the experience of the countries as follows, like EPS, Lufthansa, they give us, well, let us say, to disclose in some way data, and some data have the right to be private. And for the blockchain, the private blockchain doesn't even calculate it as the real blockchain at some point. Well, nevertheless, the collectioner can select which work, which painting they want to throw on sale, and without even giving the word that he owns it. Then again, the transporters in 2017, the number of people, number of money that had lost the collectioners during transactions to the money. In order, the collectioner buys at 3 auctioning of the world. He buys 3 auctions of the world. What is going on next? The auctioning houses, they have the prerogative to freeze your transaction up to 180 days. And even most of the trading house and loan house, they work according to the German system. They have more than 40 different operations after the decision was drawn. Then the money being registered in the local currency, then the great differences, and it's either the artist or the collectioner is going to win or lose. In the trans-borders of the payments, and when we have the simultaneously payment, we can avoid this. And in general, overall in 2017, the collection has lost 23% without freezing the costs. And then again, the quick payments of the absence of the escrow and deponing of the cases, the deponing of the payment. So you can, this is a very good thing for you. You can guarantee the money to us. And when we're going to speak about the work with blockchain, because of the smart contract, and because without of the strong belief in the product, you will not achieve it. And speaking on the peer-to-peer trades, and peer-to-peer trade, one of the biggest problems currently at the market of art is the huge number of the intermediaries during the agreements. And sometimes we have a lot of people in between, and nor the seller nor the buyer have the understanding of how many people there are, and whether you have this in between 3 or 4 mediums in the range of 4, and when they have some miscomplications in sphere, then all of the agreement is being taken down. So for example, the liquidity of the work is being also lost. In this case, the absence of the intermediaries, that's one of the important moments for the blockchain to provide to the market of art. But we also have to understand that currently, without the cryptocurrencies, only blockchain can be used as a decentralized data storage and the database. But the absence of the the competitors, and this is the blockchain without using the cryptocurrency. This is using the cryptocurrency. And just to wrap up, and there's just one question that I wanted to ask you. And it's been said very frequently that the blockchain is one of the biggest and genius achievements of the humankind, comparable to the wheels. But I would doubt it, because in the times when the wheel has been created, there was another person lived who have actually created something more genius than the one who created the wheel. What do you think was created then by that time? Who said it? Who said that the access? Yes, the access. Sergei Hrynovich. Yes, yeah, he created the axe. So the cryptocurrency is the will, but the blockchain is the access that hurts, that actually going to help to turn the cryptocurrency as well. So let the blockchain be with us and let the cryptocurrency be with us, but still stay aware, because in 99 cases out of hundreds, they will like to check you for the financial credibility. If we'll have some questions, we're a bit out of time. If I'll be here around here, so if you have any questions, you can just in a blockchain sales peer-to-peer regime, you can come up to me and ask me about everything. Thank you very much for your attention.